Hey guys, it's me, Wise Dragon Comics here. I'm coming at you with another video. This video is going to be more about inking 101, I'm going to call it, because it's about an introduction into inking. Some people have probably gotten to the habit of when they ink, they go like this. You see how that jagged line is? That's actually not what you want to do. What you want to aim for is to have smooth lines, like as you can see here of something I've already drawn. The way you can practice and learn how to do that is simply you can grab any kind of piece of paper. I've already made some penciled lines that I'm going to go over and practice. What you want to do is first you want to learn how to be able to make small strokes but straight strokes. Like for instance, like that. Being able to pretty much follow the penciled line almost exactly as you drew it. As you can see here, these are almost inked perfectly. Well, about two or three of them are. And then even for shorter lines, you want to have lines like this. And as you can see, also on some other things. And as you can see here, there are other ways to besides straight lines, you'll have to learn how to do curves. So curves, you don't actually have to just go straight like that or try to do them really fast because I can't do it like that. So what you do for a curve is try to find a way to be able to control the pen, be able to hold the pen comfortably, but also be able to be accurate with it. Like sometimes some people may start out with like a really strong tight grip and then they'll go really slow. That's fine and all, but one problem you might run into is if you're using pens like this, pressing too much or like putting too much pressure on the tip can end up splitting the tip, and then you'd have another issue with your utensil, which you don't want. So what I actually like to do is I actually like to get a good grip with my fingers on it, but one that doesn't require me to like be able to like that doesn't require me to like I'm pressing it I'm pressing it to keep it still. So what I like to do is like have each of my fingers on like almost like a triangle point, almost like a triangle on the outside of it. Like let's say one here, one here, one here. This way it gives my grip maximum stability without actually having to put pressure and actually make a really strong grip. This way I can also control it. And over time, you can do ways to practice to where you can actually do slow but light strokes. If you notice, there's a difference between how thick that one is and how thin that one is. That's mainly just because of the pressure. Like pens allow you to actually put some pressure on it to make thicker lines, but you don't want to actually make that a habit to where you're putting way too much pressure on your pens because that'll cause the tip to split and then it won't ink right in general. But when it comes to inking these circles, basically, after you've found a very comfortable, well, not even a very comfortable way, just find a comfortable grip for yourself that's not too tight and it allows you to actually precisely aim around the curve. And you'll just follow it. As you can see, I picked up the pen a couple times and went back over it because I was getting a little off course. which now you can see what happens when you actually do perform that. It looks almost jaggedy like this. It's not smooth and straight. So these are the type of things that you can use to begin being able to practice on inking. That's how I began. I was like, a lot of people will actually be afraid to actually take a to actually draw something up and then think, oh man, I'm gonna ruin it when I ink. I'm gonna ruin it when I ink it. Your best bet is to, if you really value that drawing that much, what you should do is just draw one just so you can keep it, and then make an exact copy drawing, and then you'd be able to draw and ink on that. But one thing you kind of got to get over is the fear of actually destroying an artwork. Because if you don't get past that, you'll never actually take the next steps at all. You'll always stay where you're at, and no one wants to stay where they're at, unless it's that comfortable for you, and you just really don't want to go anywhere at all. But in the case here, you're actually wanting to learn how to ink better, so you've actually got to take risks. And like I said, there's the way of actually making two drawings of the exact same thing, and then one you keep because you like it, and the other one you make for practice purposes. And here I'm going to go ahead and draw my characters here, which is characters hair parts, which is more of a challenge than the simple stuff I drew here. Going over that line here. In another lesson, I'll explain why I thickened up this line. That has to do with the depth of the line art. And while you're inking, don't be afraid to readjust the position of the drawing so you can get a better angle at it. Because one thing I've also found out is doing certain strokes from a particular angle is actually more difficult. Like for instance, let's say this crosshatch that I made. Uh, One thing that I find it easier for myself to do, it seems like a little thing that might not make a difference, but for me it actually does. It varies for other people. Like I don't when I have to do something like this that has multiple lines, I'll draw another one just so like what I actually what I'm actually more comfortable doing is actually coming down rather than actually going up. I don't know why, but for some reason, going up feels a little bit less comfortable to me. Ooh, can't speak. But it's a lot easier for me and quicker if I go down, simply because it's more comfortable for me. My line art also tends to be a bit more accurate when I use my more comfortable form of make of inking my drawings. And normally, what I also try to do is I try to start from, since I'm right-handed, I like to actually come like this way because I don't want to be going up it and then putting because I'm one of those artists that actually rest their hand on their work, which is a bad habit, but at the same time, there's ways to get around that. One way that I usually do is I usually either have paper towel that a napkin or something that I usually have on this. Even when I'm drawing pencil, sometimes the pencil can tends to smear a little bit if you put too much lead on the paper, whether you're drawing hard or too light. Or I'll, instead of using a napkin, I'll use just a piece of paper, which pretty much putting the piece of paper and drawing over it, as long as I'm not like rubbing really hard into it, the ink won't even smear. So if for some reason I want to come up like this, I'll simply just draw over it and then move the paper on there, and then just go to another area. Basically, when you're inking, one thing you want to, like I said, you want to teach yourself is to be able to do long single strokes rather than have to make those jagged, hairy strokes. Some people I know actually draw in pencil like that. That too is something that you might want to work out of, simply because when if you draw in a jagged way like that, your ink you're gonna be if you try and follow your lines, if they're jagged, you'd actually be drawing jagged lines. And basically, that's a beginning way on how to get comfortable on being able to ink, and if you don't know where how you should start or even how to get any practice in for it. So, like I said, just a quick review. Just make yourself some practice lines on a piece of paper, straight lines like that, and circle squigglies of some sort, and then you can simply just go over them. Then when you get good at the shorter stuff, then you can start practicing how to actually do bigger lines, which I'll show that in another lesson. For instance, something like that, lines like that. You're probably wondering how would you do that? Well, that actually requires you to, instead of just using your wrist, you'd actually have to use your palm. I mean, you'd actually have to use like your elbow. And see, going slow, I pretty much covered I covered this line perfectly. This one about right here, looking really close, you can actually see I didn't get it all the way. Same thing for this. And I didn't even hit the tip up there. But that's the lesson for today. I'm going to start trying to get more lessons out more frequently rather than just popping out lessons and then having a huge hiatus, which is uncalled for. So I'll see you guys later. Keep drawing. This is Wise Dragon Comics. Keep the dream alive.